Entrepreneurs, get counted today. Start Out, a San Francisco-based nonprofit, and SoCoast Labs recently announced their Inclusion Impact Indexes survey, focused on all U.S.-based entrepreneurs. The Diversity and Inclusion Survey measures entrepreneurs' economic impact in terms of job creation, patents, financing, and exits. If you've started a company in the U.S., get counted in this confidential survey. In-depth data findings are available for free online. Visit inclusionindexes.org.
Hello, everyone. It's Colleen Blake and Eric Quick, and welcome to Bathtime to Boardroom, where we are bringing stories of working parents or parents-to-be and how they now blend work and life and all the challenges that come with it. Hey, guys, though, check it out. It's season 4, and this season is all about moms taking over, which means we have a guest host this week. Everyone say hello to Monica. This is a straight Moms Takeover episode. Eric is losing his seat to Monica Chandra, a board member for West Valley Community Services in Cupertino, California. We're so fortunate to have her sit in with us in the past that she's back again. So, Monica, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Colleen. Well, today we are speaking with Nikki Cruz, a viral TikToker and a blogger who provides helpful ways on how to shift from a more rigid parenting approach to more peaceful parenting lifestyle. And her parenting journey and practices have been featured on the likes of NBC, Mind Body Green, Good Morning America, ABC News, Pop Sugar, and more. Welcome, Nikki.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Nikki enjoys finding ways to invite more ease and joy into the daily challenges of juggling a career and being a mom. Oh, I need that. These days, she's rocking her motto, being a maarte mama, doing the most to learn, grow, and create a beautiful life for her family. It's great to have both Monica and Nikki on this week with us. Yay.
Thank you.
All right, Mon, why don't we start with bath time?
Thank you. Well, Nikki, can you tell us a little bit more about what being a maarte mama means to you?
Yeah, sure. I'm basically reclaiming this word. It's a Tagalog word that by denotation, it means like to create or with art, which I didn't know until later. But growing up, I was described as this early on. And it actually was launched as like, the connotation was launched as like a sexist insult in our language, as you are aware, Colleen, like it means like, doing too much, doing the most. And I was called this by family and friends in a jokingly loving way or in a critical way for different things. Like I was like 11 and I created an Excel chart for my little brothers called the check system, where they would earn rewards and privileges by reading newspaper articles and writing summaries. And so, later on, I just learned to embrace it. This is just, there's nothing wrong with being too much. The world needs it.
Yeah.
The world needs kids and adults who are too much. So it's just really embracing that, reclaiming the word. And it's kind of turned into this thing like doing the most for growth, intellectual growth, creative growth, growth in all the ways to make life more fulfilling and enjoyable.
I love that.
Well,
I love
owning your vibe, owning who you are, all that you are.
owning your extra.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why there's a period, because it's like it's a whole statement. Just
That's a
own it.
All right. I need that shirt.
Yeah. Merch is linked in my Instagram. I didn't even expect to have this, but the community's been great. They support it. They love it. They love the idea.
That's wonderful. It sounds like you've been parenting for quite some time. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about what your experience was like growing up and what kind of influence that's had on your current parenting philosophy?
Yeah, sure. It was very harsh practices growing up, and even in the media, it's like a joke with a lot of, I think, Asian families like that show Fresh Off the Boat.
Mhm.
I've seen it like, love is shown through like micromanagement and like criticism. And it was something that I was just so proud of. Like I just attributed everything. Like my parents are my heroes. Like their way is the way. And it was just, very, very harsh, authoritarian versus authoritative. And so I embraced all of that and I attributed my success to it, which is why I started out very intentional about being a tiger mother. And I was that way with my brothers too. I was like a second mom to them. So I was like very strict. It was all about structure, no time for, feelings. And it was
Were you the eldest child?
radical. Yeah. Yes.
That's right. You were the ate.
Yeah, I'm the ate, exactly. So there's my 2 younger brothers and me, the 3 of us. But yeah, it's and so my parents are aware that you know, their practices may not have been ideal, but I mean, my parents are still my heroes. I love them to death, and I always share this with my community that there were limited resources and knowledge back then, and our parents just did the best that they could. And so you do the best you can until you know more and you learn more, and you just do better.
So, what do they think about your parenting philosophy now versus where you were a couple of years back?
Yeah, they're definitely more like open and accepting about it these days. There are still some things that I do or say that they're just like, they give me that side eye. But I think I started to really embrace Marta when I created my son's like calming space, which I'm sure we'll talk about too. But that was a huge thing. Like they saw that, they were like, "Is this a freaking spa?" Like they were just laughing at me. They were calling me pute, which means like white, in our language, and it's just like, "Oh, you're doing too much again." But it evolved in just a few years. I just stayed true. I owned my truth. I shared with them honestly. And, they just really see the benefits of the things that I'm doing that really do seem like too much to a lot of people.
Do they ever see it as a criticism of their own parenting style?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because they always make comments like, "Oh, I never did this growing up. And look at me. I turned out great. Like, you turned out great. You were, college graduate," everything. It's like, we like, why are you changing things up? Like, why are you rocking the boat? Just this is not how we did things back in the day in the Philippines or when we raised you. So it's great. But I love that we're able to have like that open and honest conversation constantly. It's like an everyday thing now.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to one of the things you just mentioned. It was a calming corner. I think one of the reasons it seems like you've gathered so many followers on TikTok was due to your creation of the calming corner for your son as an alternative to timeouts. And I was wondering if you could tell our listeners a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So it started out basically in our bathroom. I have a post about this on my blog, but like I always say, the piece like started in our bathroom because when I started working on myself and I made this decision to make this shift, I didn't really know what to do. But we had like these meditation apps and everything, and we just started like meditating in the bathroom together. My son found it so relaxing, like when we had the steam on, because I did when he was 6. So we would have the steam on with the shower, and then some eucalyptus mints, and we would just play something on the apps that I found. And eventually he found his favorite coach on there, meditation coach. We fell in love with the process of like just listening to our bodies and being with ourselves, sitting with our emotions. So, once this started, I found him like all over the place, like on the sofa, in the kitchen, on the toilet, like and meditating. So I was like, let me create this meditation space for him, just like a really nice, comfortable corner that's designated for this purpose. And let me see what he thinks about that. So we collaborated on it. And so it started out as like a very nature looking like meditation space that evolved into the calming space. Once I learned more from professionals like therapists, like what the importance of like emotional regulation and intelligence. And I started thinking about what tools can I add? What tools would he find helpful? And so the shift, it evolved from like just meditating to, identifying feelings and how to regulate, and things like that. So, and I learned that this was a thing. And eventually I was like, oh, calming corners and calming spaces are a thing. But I just kind of like, gave it my own twist with like the sensory tools, just to give him an outlet because I wanted that broad spectrum of options. Because I thought about things that help calm me down. And so we started gradually adding and expanding it. And his school loved the idea. I learned many schools actually had this implemented. His school at the time, his kindergarten class didn't know, and he was raving about it. So they actually started one in their classroom once he was sharing how helpful it was from at home.
I need to call.
That's wonderful. I was just thinking the same thing. And one of the questions I had for you was, so do you have the equivalent of a calming corner for yourself?
Yeah, I've been trying to work on building myself a little space. It's definitely on my goals list. For now, I'm just creating like certain pockets of the home, which I can really relax in. And I call them like sacred spaces that I share with. It's actually like a thing, but I share with it with my community about how to like make certain parts of your home like just a sacred space that's very comfortable and like aligns with your inner needs as opposed to, entertaining guests or whatever. So I focus on that and just trying to create like spaces where I can just sit with myself and relax. But I do use, we use his calming space collaboratively sometimes because that's how our journey began together. So we always, we go back to it together sometimes.
So do you use the calming spaces together at the same time, or is that really a time for one-on-one reflection and a break?
Yeah, sometimes it's both. I always I share with my followers that you can have your own set of rules and when you collaborate with your kid, but I think that the best thing is just to leave it open so that they just naturally gravitate to it. That sometimes he just wants to go there and relax and read a book. Other times he's like, oh, I'm feeling, I'm having a lot of high energy right now. Let me just go in here and like lift my little, 5-pound medicine ball to help me like relax and focus. It serves a variety of reasons. Sometimes we both go there to like role play, to collaborate in that way and use like toys to show like better scenario, like how to, respond differently to different scenarios. Or other times he'll just like remind me, I think you need to use the calming space, and I'll I'll say too, I think I need to use the calming space to de-stress a little bit. So yeah, it's very, I think it's very fluid and open the way any family can leverage the space.
Now, Nikki, you mentioned a technique though to help you calm down before you get to the calming space. I think it was react versus respond. And can you share a little bit about that? Because that was helpful to read on your blog.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's something that I learned as I was just in the process of really evaluating myself and being focused on my growth in different ways and how I would respond versus react to situations. So like an example of like the dog making a mess in the kitchen in the morning. My instant reaction is based on something that is rooted in like fears, like, okay, great, now we're gonna be late, or insecurities, like I'm a terrible mom, I can't get it together, like, wow.
Sorry, mom guilt.
Right, it's such a real painful thing of this mom guilt. And so I just, these delineations really helped me a lot. So, I really made a shift there too. Like instead of freaking out and like getting down on myself and saying, oh, the whole day is ruined and whatever, now the wood's gonna stain, like all reaction, all reactive, right? To just taking a pause. Like there's so much power in the pause. Like I share with my community, take a pause, pause and just, that's the difference with reacting versus responding, is that pause. And how can we handle this so that, the whole energy isn't thrown off and it's not a made up story in our head that's negative, that's gonna just, derail the whole morning or the whole day. So as opposed to like freaking out about that, it's like, okay, I accept this. He made a mess. Let's see how we can create a solution going forward. And then, it ended up being something where my son and I would take like morning walks together. So we use that time to let the dog have extra time and then also connect with each other and get centered and present before the school day. So I would say in a nutshell, the power is in the pause.
I like that.
I think many of us have an aspirational parenting style. I mean, I think we would like to be more calm. We would like to be more positive. And sometimes in the moment it is a challenge, but I'm just really curious how you made that transition from being an authoritarian tiger parent to one that's more peaceful and positive, because that transition is a really hard one to make.
Yeah, no doubt. It was a very painful process and still painful some days. It felt unbearable on some days. Like, this is just not me. Like, why am I on this, this ridiculous goal? Like, it's just not me. And I think that for everyone's journey is going to be different. For me, it definitely did take some time. Like, just identifying what I wanted and what I wanted to be as a mom and creating that vision, I think was the first step. That was the first step of many, because once you can start seeing yourself as something and believing it, I think that opens up the possibilities. But even then, there's a lot of self-doubt, a lot of like setbacks, a lot of struggles along the way. But making a commitment to that vision, and then really owning your truth and committing to healing. So being open-minded about things is what gets you progress that you're looking for, I think. So just making a commitment to weekly therapy, whereas before I was like, I don't have time for therapy. I don't have time, but I have time to like, sit and drive through Starbucks for 30 minutes. Like, you just, you have, it's the work. And I always share it
Oh.
with folks that there's no way around it, but through it, you got to just
Mhm.
do the work if you want to make this shift. And some shifts might be easier than others, but for me, it definitely took a lot of that, and lots of hundreds of hours spent on, like, personal development, meditation classes, therapy, just because I think I was just so extreme. I was not, it was just a very, very hard, I was just embracing this really, really harsh method of parenting. So it really took a lot of unlearning and coming to terms with the root of my behaviors and my beliefs, and
Mm.
just owning that, to be able to see that these possibilities were within my reach, if I was willing to work for it.
Personal growth and spending that time. I think it's such a big part of making those changes. And it's like one thing to do it for yourself and wanting to make those improvements. How did your parenting philosophy, how did it affect the way that you co-parent or with Caleb's dad? Because sometimes I feel like that's a challenge. One of us will have a really good parenting idea, and then the other one is just not on board.
Yeah, for sure. And his father and I would have arguments in front of him. I definitely don't recommend that. I corrected him, in front of him, and it's not, and he would tell me, "You're not letting me be a father to him when you're doing that." And it's really hard. Sometimes you just learn through experience, but I would say, based on my experience with being like the first to make the shift, because my fiance, he's an Ethiopian, he's an Ethiopian Jew, right? I have my Asian culture. So we both grew up a certain way, and both had aligned beliefs about, like, corporal punishment and being strict, and setting structure so your kids are ready for the real world and don't act out. So because I was the first one to kind of explore this new territory of parenting, it was very easy to be judgmental of him. Like, oh my gosh, you don't even know what you're doing. Like, you don't know what kind of effect that's having on him. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I always share with folks in the community who have similar challenges, to come from a place of empathy, and try to show a unified front in front of the child, and discuss it when things are calmer, and not in that moment. And know that if the other, your partner, husband, wife, partner, whatnot, has a very different set of beliefs, it's coming from somewhere. There is, generations of trauma. There is unhealed parts of them. And so just coming from a place of empathy and not judging, I think has been really helpful. And just continuing to model. So modeling, that's not so much in his face. Like, I'm continuing to model to Khalid. Like, when he's having a meltdown, instead of saying what we used to together, like, fix your face, like, I'll give you something to cry about. I am it's what we heard growing up.
Yes.
And now it's like, I'm in front of him and I'm saying to him, like, you're really sad right now. You're upset. And I know it's really hard to wait sometimes. I have a hard time waiting sometimes. And maybe his father will look at me like, you're bonkers, but it's slowly like planting a seed. And I know that it can be stressful because it's inconsistent. But when you have two, parents involved, it's the best you can do, is just to keep modeling and then discuss it with your partner later, and they will see the benefits of what you're doing. And I would share with them, like, share books, articles, blogs. That helps a lot. Like, I'll constantly be sending them links, like, please read this. Like,
oh, you said please. Please read this. I'll be like, here.
Yeah.
I'm
it gets to that
guilty.
point. It gets to that point sometimes. I don't blame you. I understand. It's not always easy or realistic to have patience in the moment. So I hear you.
Well, tell us a little bit more about your son, Cleve. Like, what's he like, and how did you see that change in him when you changed your parenting style? Did you see that sort of reflected back in who he was?
Oh yeah, it's such a beautiful thing, because they're such sponges, right? And yeah, my son is he's 6 years old. He is everything I was not growing up. He is a very powerful force. I felt like I was fronting for, like, the longest, starting at a young age, just not comfortable being in my own like skin or my own feelings. And Khalid just wears his heart in his sleeve. He's very strong leadership skills, very passionate about everything, very strong about boundaries. Like, my dad the other day was, like, telling him, oh, you should put shorts on because it's hot outside, and he, like, fired back, like, this is my body. You don't tell me what to do with my body. Okay, you own your body. I own my. I'm like, okay, wait. Now we got to talk about respect. But just the fact that he's like so like, I'm not afraid he's gonna ever get walked on. That was like something I had to like really like reconcile to myself. Like I'm kind of a doormat sometimes, like, and so it's just great that my son learns how to set those boundaries and knows, but we're just working on, being more respectful in the delivery. But yeah, it's amazing because I think at one point when I made this shift, I was very like depressed because I just felt like I wasn't connecting with him. He was always scared of me. He was like flinching when I came around, and it was like he was like 3 years old, and I'm like, is this what I want for my son? And so he was just like a very obedient kid, very like, just like he was, because he was silently imploding inside, right? He was keeping it all inside because he was so scared. And now he's just very expressive, and I just love how he can disagree with me. Some days not in the ideal way, but many times he disagrees with me and shares his opinion at just 6. And I think it's just so healthy that he can feel open and honest to just share his opinions with me and push back in a way where he feels that his voice matters, his voice counts. He's a respected individual in the household, and it shows in other ways. Like he's just so empathetic, and it's the phrases that I use. I don't even think he has the intention of repeating it, but it's already like planted in his mind. So he repeats things. And there was this tweet that I put out that lots of people love, where we were driving to In-N-Out Burger with my father, and somebody like cut off my dad, and my dad was like murmuring obscenities and like, kind of like flipping out low key. And my son was like just so calm, and he was like, "You're angry right now." But you're giving your power away. You're giving your power away.
Oh.
And he calls him Tart, not Grandpa, but he was like, "Come on, Tart, it's okay to be angry, but don't give all your power away."
Ooh.
And I'm just like,
Wow.
I had to share that with the community, because I'm just like, what? Like he actually, because in the moment
So
it's like,
proud.
you don't know he's listening, but they are. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, that's so awesome, Nikki. Oh, I have so many questions. I'm sure Monica has so many questions on the parenting piece and bath time, but we've got to move forward to boardroom right now. So why don't we, before we do that, hear a word from Dope, our sponsor. That's DOUGHP, Dope.
Hold up, cookie dough you can eat and bake? Meet Dope. It's edible, bakeable, legit cookie dough. We're dishing up nostalgia by the spoonful, delivered straight to your door. Our recipes start with just 6 all-natural ingredients, free from eggs and raw flour. With over 1,000 5-star reviews, this dough is Spoon Licker approved. Best of all, a portion of every purchase is donated to support mental health care and addiction recovery. Unbox some happiness today. Visit dope.com, DOUGHP.com.
All right, thank you. So let's switch gears, talk about Boardroom. So we've heard a lot about you and Khalid and your home life. Let's talk about work. So in addition to being a TikToker, you have an actual day job. Can you tell us what it is that you do that you actually get paid for?
Yeah, I've been in the forensics industry for about 9 years now. So I work as a consultant. I'm called different things, but essentially I manage investigations. I manage the forensics piece of different investigations, mostly for corporations that are like subpoenaed by certain regulators like the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission.
Ooh. White collar investigations, white collar crimes. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's that whole yeah, it's a whole other, it's like the boring version of like the show CSI.
Okay, so your parenting philosophy, did that coincide then with your work? Because I would imagine, as you know, in forensics and investigations, you've got to keep your cool as you are dealing with some of these, criminals, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of overlap there. So I'm able to apply the same things like validation of how the other party is feeling, and then how to find an effective solution going forward, and then vice versa too. Like a lot of my work is based on like systems analytics approaches, and it's like I kind of take that over to my home life or my parenting. Like there's like a workflow for like kitchen towels, just so that I can have one less thing to
Okay,
worry.
wait. So hold on. The workflow for your kitchen towels. Okay, let's talk about that. I want to know what does that mean?
Like, so for example, like just small things, like I didn't know which towels were for the floor or like the kitchen counters, the bathroom, and it would just drive me nuts. So I started having like designated little tiny bins, like, white, black, whatever. And then I would have groups of towels, like utility towels, kitchen towels, like bathroom towels or whatever. These are used for bathroom sinks, or these are used for kitchen counters, because it works well with like this spray. Like, for example, if you wipe the table with Windex spray, it's not really safe to eat off right after, but if you use something that's like plant-based, you can. So I wanted to separate those towels, but I was spending way too much time thinking about it than I should have been. So I just quickly created this workflow, and I just had labels and containers, and now it's just like, and like I don't have to worry about what to wash with what and mixing it up. And so it just has like its own place and its own little system. That's why I'm always talking about like systems when it comes to like cleaning or learning or whatever, parenting. I love like systems because it makes it easy for me to digest and execute without getting like stressed out about it.
Okay, there you go. I like that. You've applied systems to your home life as well. Now, how did you end up becoming a blogger and moving into the TikTok world? So you've got your day job, now you've got this other entrepreneurial route that you're taking. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, it was my best friend. We've been best friends for forever, and he is my son's godfather. And he just knows all the extra things that I do. He knows all my systems, all my crazy charts of like with choices and collaborative rules, and how I have a system for like teaching geography. And he was just like, you need to like share this with the world. And he was there in the hardest times, the most painful times that I was making that shift and coming to terms with my own healing. And he was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Like, you have to just share these ideas. And I refused to, because I was just, I'm an introvert, and I wasn't even on social
You're
media.
not an introvert.
I guess I can be. My
What
son,
are they?
I feel like it was like probably that time in my life I felt like that. I wanted to hide under a rock.
Oh, okay.
I was just in not the ideal place to like share in social media. So I'd even have it set up, and I was just like, no way. I just rejected him for forever. And then finally, he was on this like campaign for TikTok, and he was like, come on, please do it with me, please. And I was like, I'll give it a shot for like 2 weeks. Okay. And I agree with what he said. If you help one person, one mom, it's worth it. So I did. I just gave it a shot, and I actually posted my last video thinking, okay, I'm so glad I'm done with this, because okay, I helped some people, but I'm just not a social media person. And then the next couple days, I started getting notifications that it was like being featured in articles and stuff. And I'm just like, what? And when mom started reaching out to me, that was the game changer. I felt like it was my it became like my duty and aligned with some of my purpose, that wow, I didn't think I would actually be helping like so many people. Like, I have to keep going. And I actually enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed like sharing these systems. It's like something that I love talking about. So it just became something that like one of my new missions in life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, and I think it's also, you mentioned your purpose, right? So as a working mom, what are some tips or suggestions you have for people to help them find their purpose?
Oh man.
Life hacks. You got a system for that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is owning your healing. Like, when you're a working mom, it's so hard to make time for yourself, right? You're feeling guilty, like you're not doing enough for your job, you're not doing enough for your kids. And I think it's just so important to prioritize self-care and find time, like whether you feel you need it. I just think that everyone could use therapy on a weekly basis. It's 1 hour a week. And I think it does so much to get clarity on parts of yourself that haven't healed, and where does the fulfillment lie? Like, where will you feel fulfilled, even if you're not feeling fulfilled at your current job, but it's like paying the bills? Maybe there's something you can do, to balance that, and still find that fulfillment. And it's not always apparent, and it would have never been made clear to me if I hadn't, gone on this journey of healing and growth. So
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's awesome. I like that how you said that your own healing, you have to prioritize yourself. What would you say is, I guess now looking ahead, what are some of your future goals for yourself, for your Arte Mame blogs? What are you thinking in terms of the future?
Oh, wow. I really would love to do a consistent coaching program. I don't always have time to keep it up. So I help some people here and there, but it's not a full-fledged coaching program that's up and running consistently. So the fact that so many people reach out for something like this, a program that I'd even think, existed at one point, I can like just the fact that I can create it and make it my own and apply my own principles. That's not just like parenting solutions, but kind of like healing yourself and reparenting yourself while learning parenting solutions is a coaching program that I would hope and would love to develop one day.
That's great. Well, since your work reflects primarily on parenting, how do you focus on other parts of your identity apart from being a mom?
I think that right now I'm okay with motherhood just defining me. I
Mm.
think it's important to it's just it was played such a huge role in my journey, and I think I'm okay with that. And but not forgetting, like, of course, who you were before a mom. And so I talk about like having a list of like creative goals, for example, and how important it is. It might seem so small, but I have a list of like I want to learn how to like play more ukulele songs, or how to write in cursive, like these things that I maybe wanted to learn as a child that I didn't get to, and it may or may not involve my son. And I think those little things that you can incorporate will, because you still have your identity outside of that, of course, but it's those little things help keep it uh relevant. Like you don't want to forget about that person.
Oh, yes. Well, actually, I want to take a minute or a second here to talk. You said something like, "Motherhood. It's okay to let motherhood define me right now." I often get the whole, okay, well, it's part of why we do this podcast is the work life balance piece, and not forgetting to curate or nurture that other part of you besides being a parent. So, how
Mm.
did you get to that point of, um, being okay with, yeah, it's okay that I'm letting motherhood define me right now.
Oh man, I think it was I had some former bad experiences at prior companies where it was kind of being ignored, that part of me, because there was at one point I was the only mother in the practice. All of the leaders were men with stay-at-home wives. And I
Mm.
was somebody who actually enjoyed my job. I felt like I was good at my job. I didn't want to give it up. Even if I could, I wanted to stay in my industry. But it was just something that they were trying to operate um like ignoring. Like, for example, if I couldn't stay as late, I had to just do the work from home. It was kind of frowned upon.
Mm.
Or if I had to leave because my son was sick from preschool and I had to pick him up, it was frowned upon. And so I was just not cool with that. And I the fact that I'm a mother, like somebody said to me, like, you are putting your life first before work. And I responded, yeah, my son comes first. First and foremost, I'm a mother first and foremost, and my work will still get done. And there are no complaints about me, right? So I'm still getting the work done. What is the problem? And so just the fact that somebody tried to, erase that part of me, I think
Mm.
made me more empowered. And God is good. I ended up at my current company, which really embraces like work-life balance. They are the opposite. They highlight and celebrate employees who are mothers and provide the support and all the resources that they need to be able to thrive, and acknowledging all the parts of who they are as a person. And they're not just an employee, this cog in the wheel.
Oh, yeah, that's you. You have the power to make a decision and go to a company that actually supports that whole work life and being a mom or being a dad, being a parent, right? All right. Well, I have all these other questions in my head for you. I don't know, Mon, do you have other questions that you want to ask Nikki before we have to turn it over to rapid fire 5?
I'm ready to go to rapid fire 5 if you are.
All right, Nikki, are you ready for rapid fire 5?
Those two answers, and I get to pick one, right?
Yes, you do. That's right.
So, Nikki, I'm going to ask you 5 questions in rapid succession. and there are going to be 2 available answers, and then you select one. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. So your next vacation, sailboat or RV?
Oh, wow. Sailboat.
Chicago Cubs or White Sox?
Oh, White Sox. That's where we used to live.
Superpower you would want, mind reading or time traveling?
Oh, time travel.
Essential read, The Power of Now or 5 Love Languages?
Oh, man. The Power of Now. I have that up here. I love both, but the Power of Now.
And then favorite pet, kittens or puppies?
Puppies.
All right. Thank you, Nikki. All right. As we do with every episode, we end with a pocket perspective. So, Nikki, what would be your pocket perspective today?
Yeah, I just want to share a lot of what I think has resonated with my community, that the struggle can be so real, but so is the progress, and
Oh.
practice makes progress.
Oh, I like that. The struggle is real. And so is the progress.
Can't
Yes.
forget about that piece.
Yeah, that's the key piece. I like that. Something that I will take away from today's episode is what you said, power in the pause. So thank you for that alliteration.
Thank you. It's so helpful to us. It's a powerful thing. Thank you.
I think my pocket perspective for today is it's never too late to make a positive change.
Yeah. I was in my 30s, so it's possible. It's never too late.
Yes, it's never too late. Well, big special thank you to Nikki for being our guest today and to Monica for sitting in for Eric. It was great to have you both today. For those that want to learn more about Nikki, you can visit her blog at maartemami.com. That's MAARTEMAMI, or follow her on Instagram at maarte_mommy. So MAARTE_MAMI. And make sure to follow Bathtime to Boardroom on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Play. With that, it's a wrap. Until next time, remember, whether it's at bath time or in the boardroom, to cherish these moments and always make a splash. Bye, everyone. Moni, it's joke time. Okay, you know what? Olivia keeps trying to set the clocks back. But you know what? I'm not going to let her. Not on my watch.
I've got one for you, Colleen. Oh, sorry. I need to pause a little bit more, huh?
No, go. It's all good.
All right. What does a nosy pepper do?
I have no idea. What does it do?
Gets jalapeno business.
That's a good one. Say that again. Gets
jalapeno business.
I like that. I like it. Oh, that's good. That's good.
How did the hipster chemist burn his hand?
Oh, how?
He picked up his beaker before it was cool.
Okay, God. I'm slow on that one. Slow on that one, Colleen.
Yeah, might have to delete that one. It's all good. Well, why can't you explain puns to kleptomaniacs?
Why not?
They always take things literally.
Does that make me a kleptomaniac? Because I was actually... I thought you were going to say they steal it, but okay. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's true.
I
They
just
can
need to-
steal your puns.
To just be quiet. Take a moment. So. Oh, thanks, Mon. Oh,
Well,
you got one more?
I've got one.
Oh,
Got
man.
one more.
Okay, what is
yeah, this will make up for the other one. How do you make a tissue dance?
How did you make a tissue dance?
Put a little boogie in it.
Yeah, not a visual I need right now. But thanks, Mon.